Greetings, I'm Squared here. Today we are going to review a little bit for our test. So we've already tested over slope-intercept form, and now we're going to test over standard form and point-slope form. So just real quick, I wanted you to remember what those are, because you have to pay attention to directions on the test, because if it says put it in standard form, you need to make sure it's ax plus by equals c, x and y on the same side, x first, the constant on this other side all by itself. If it's in point slope form, you need to make sure you have those parentheses, the x and the y, the point, the coordinates of the point on the line, and then the slope. So let's get started. So we want to look at our little chart down here, and we're going to ask ourselves which equations are in standard form and which equations are in point slope form. So on the test, you'll have to know that. Well, this is actually in slope-intercept form, right? So this is in slope-intercept form too, because we have y alone, then the slope and the x, and the constant. So standard form, is this in standard form? Well, it kind of looks like it is, right? There's an x, a y, and then a constant. But the reason why this is not in standard form is because of that decimal. And it says in the definition of standard form that a, b, and c must be integers. 1.5 is not an integer. It's a rational number, but not an integer. So that is not in standard form. This one, we have a y, an x, parentheses. This is in point slope form. And so is this one. We'll abbreviate here, point slope form. Those two are both in point slope form. Then this one is in standard form because we get an x, a y, and a constant. Everything is an integer. X, y, constant, all integers. It's a 1 there. So this is also in standard form. And then this one is actually this is considered standard form too. It's just that x is 0, so you don't see it. Okay, so that's one of the things you'll have to do is distinguish between the forms. Now we're going to write some equations. So it's important that you read directions on the test. It says write the equation in standard form. Well, to get it in standard form, remember that's ax plus by equals c, and everything has to be an integer. Well, that's not an integer. And x is on the right side, and I need it on the left side. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply everything by 4. That will make everything an integer. So I get 4y equals negative x minus 28. Now you could put a negative 1x if you wanted to. That's fine, but it's not necessary. The next thing I'm going to do is going to add x to both sides because I need x on the left. And when I write it, I'm going to put my x first, not my y first. If you weren't that particular about what form it's in, it wouldn't matter. But because it says standard form, x must be first. And there we have it. I have just written this equation. I've rewritten it. Same equation. If I graphed this one or that one, it'd be the same. But now it's in standard form. All right. The next one, it says write an equation in point slope form. Well, that means I need a point and a slope. Well, I have 2 points. I'm going to have to choose one, but I need to find the slope. So I'm going to take 8 minus 9, and negative 1 minus 2. So that's negative 1 over negative 3, which equals 1/3. So now I know my slope, my m, remember it's y minus y sub 1, and the y sub 1 is a coordinate of a point, and m times x minus x sub 1. So now that I have my slope, and I'll just pick this point, because it doesn't have any negatives, and I'll start. Y minus y sub 1. Well, this is my y sub 1 and my x sub 1. So y minus 9 equals m times x minus 2. And this is my equation in point slope form. All right, let's try another one. So now we're going to write this equation in standard form. Okay, remember that's our ax plus by equals c. So I notice I have a y on this side. Going to have to move my x over. Going to get rid of those parentheses. Got to move my constants over. So there's a little bit of work to do. I like to distribute first. I don't like to multiply by 2 because too often kids make mistakes if they multiply this by 2 because they tend to multiply inside and outside, which is not correct. So I like to get rid of the parentheses first. So let's do that. We're going to use distributive property. We get negative 1/2 x plus 3 because a negative 1/2 times negative 6 is 3. I'm going to move my 8 over because I need all the constants on the right side. And then now I'm going to multiply by 2. So I get 2y equals negative x minus 10 when I multiply that by 2. And now I just need to add x to both sides, and then it will be in standard form. So x plus 2y equals negative 10. Standard form. All right, let's see what's next. We want to do point slope form again. But this time they actually give us the point and the slope. So really not a lot of work to show here, right? We're going to do y minus the y coordinate. There's my x sub 1 and my y sub 1 equals the slope times x minus a negative 2, which ends up being a positive. And I'm all done. So if it gives you a point and a slope for point slope, super easy to do. Okay, now we're going to talk about y-intercepts and x-intercepts. Remember, if it's in standard form, that's what it's good. That's really good for. Standard form can help us really easily find our x and y-intercepts. So to find our y-intercept, remember the formula is 0 comma c over b. I need to write it as a point. So I take my c and my b and I divide. Negative 24 divided by negative 3 is 8. So I know my y-intercept is 0, 8. I'm going to do the same thing for my x-intercept. So my x-intercept is c over a. So I'm going to take c divided by a. That's negative 3. So my my x-intercept, sorry, is negative 3. And that's the x and y-intercepts. Now we're going to look at some graphs. We're still going to write equations, but watch the directions. It says standard form. And I notice, we're going to write them from graphs. I notice this one is a horizontal line. So I remember to check where it goes through on the y-axis. And horizontal lines only have y's, because remember all along here, that's 1, 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 3, 5, 3. Every y is a 3, so the equation is just y equals 3. If you remember that, those are super easy. Okay, now I'm going to have an equation in point slope form. So the point that they want me to use is right there. And now we're going to use that point, negative 4, 4. But I need a slope. I got the point. This is what I need. So I use the line to help me. So I'm going to go up 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 4. But I went left 4, so that means it's negative. So now I know my slope is negative 1/4. I'm ready to write my equation, because that's my x sub 1 and my y sub 1. So y minus a y sub 1, and there's negative, so it's going to turn into a plus because minus a negative, equals negative 1/4 times x minus an x sub 1. All right, let's check the next one out. Okay, that's a vertical line. Vertical lines, remember all along here, it's just 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 5. So all of my x's are 2. So in standard form, my line would be x equals 2. All right, we're going to try this one. This one says point slope form. They tell me the point they want me to use. It's negative 3, 2. I need a slope. So I'm going to find a slope. If I go up 2 and left 1, my slope is negative 2, because I went up 2 and left 1. That's 2 over negative 1, which is negative 2. So I use this for my x sub 1 and y sub 1. So y minus 2 equals the slope times x minus a negative 3, which turns into a positive 3. So that's the equation for that graph. And finally, what we're going to do is just look at this table of points. So there's 6 points here, and determine if any of these points are actually on this line. So the obvious one, right, is our x sub 1, y sub 1, and that would have been a negative 4 and a positive 2. So first I check that one out. Yeah, that one's there. Okay, good. We know that one's there. But for the rest of them, I'm actually going to have to plug it in and see. So I'm going to take these, remember, this is the x and this is the y. So I'm going to try this one right here. I'll say y minus the y. Remember, this is y sub 1, x sub 1. So I'm sorry. This is going to be our x and our y. I'm going to plug it in for that. So we actually start off with negative 4 minus 2. That's negative 6. And does it equal, if I put the 2 in there, so 2 plus 4 is 6, and half of 6 is 3. So does negative 6 equal 3? It does not. So that point is not on my graph. Okay, I'll use a different color for this one so it doesn't get lost in it. So now I'm going to use this one. I'm going to say 6 minus 2, which we know is 4. And I'm going to plug 4 in. 4 plus 4 is 8. So half of 8 is 4. Yes, that works. All right. We got another point. So we'll keep going. We'll try this one now. 8 minus 2, that's going to be 6. Now I'm going to put my negative 12 in. Negative 12 plus 4 is 8. And half of 8 is 4. That doesn't work. So that one's out. Not equal. Right, let's try 12, 10. So we can say 10 minus 2 equals 1/2 of 12 plus 4. So I'm just plugging the x and y again into the equation to see if it works. Well, 12 plus 4 is 16. Half of 16 is 8. And 10 minus 2 is 8 as well. So yes, this one works. Last, we're going to try this one. So we're going to say 0 minus 2 equals 1/2 of negative 8 plus 4 is going to give me negative 4. So 1/2 of negative 4 is negative 2. Does negative 2 equal negative 2? Yes, it does. Okay, so there were 4 out of the 6 points that were on the line. Remember, there's an infinite number of points on the line. So that's just a few questions to review for your test. Remember, you're going to have to pay really close attention to whether it says standard form or point slope form, because I'm testing you to know the difference. So you don't want to get those mixed up. Good luck. M squared signing out.